oscillation profiles. That our normal wake state of mind is the main source of all illnesses and chronic diseases, and in the end is to blame for almost all death in the human population worldwide, may look like taken totally out of the blue. To some, it would sound utterly insane or simply a spectacular trick in order to get attention. And last but not least, soak some money from naive and innocent good people. Yes, this is a heavy bite, so let us gather the phenomena that could support these wild claims. As a start, let us have a look at the neural oscillation profiles of some people during their normal wake time. From what we know, it would be obvious that scientists, doctors, journalists, and teachers would tend to be more in beta than farmers and pizza bakers. Let us take the most famous and ingenious of all human beings through the history of mankind, Albert Einstein. See the fourth frame. He was a doctor in physics. He even got a Nobel Prize for his contributions to theoretical physics. On a normal day in 1921, at the age of 42, he would basically spend most of his awake time in beta with some jolts into gamma when trying to connect the dots. For comparison, we found a proud baker from Neu-Ulm, Germany. Look at that second frame. Well, he does not differ that much from Einstein. The baker spent a significant part of his day in beta in order to solve problems on the fly, and in gamma because he has to span his consciousness to hold endless processes going for all the breads and cakes to fill his shop and please his demanding customers around the clock. Third frame shows an old herder from Fagaras Mountains in Romania. He behaves very different than the two previous gentlemen. He does a good job when it comes to not being in beta. Obviously, he's not haunted by wolves on a daily basis and lives with little anxiety and stress. Presumably, he knows where to go every day with his animals in order to offer them good pastures. He does not concern himself with demanding planning of any sort. His life is settled, he has what he needs, the children are grown up, and so forth. Otherwise, he would have much higher beta scores, like the baker and Einstein. Another interesting thing is his alpha score. When he is hanging around with his sheep, when they are happy and thriving, he is too. The better he does his job, the less he has to do, and thus, when they are grazing, he drifts off, thinking of nothing, daydreaming in alpha. Just to be sure we are not making any mistakes here, let us bring in a lady from another part of time and space. The Maasai woman in the first frame. The picture of her was taken in East Africa sometime between 1900 and 1909. She has a remarkable set of scores. How is it possible to reside in theta and delta all day long? She even seems to have everything in perfect and organized order too. She really turns the bucket upside down with a life almost asleep, so to speak, because do not forget that modern science teaches us that the delta state equals dreamless sleep, almost. With this uncivilized woman, we definitely have touched upon something very strange, and to which we will have to return in order to learn more. Her eyes are actually halfway closed, and yet she does not look like she is sleeping. Rather, she is very much awake and aware. As the last person in the row, we can choose someone who is not really regarded as an indigenous person, and yet is not civilized. You might even call him an extremist, the Indian Prahlad Yani in the fifth frame. He was born in 1929 in the northwest India. Already as a young boy, he united with a divine entity after having had a vision. In his own words, he was visited by the Hindu goddess Amba. She told him, among other things, that from now on he would not need to neither drink nor eat anything anymore. Not in his lifetime. Since then, he apparently has lived that way. He spends his whole life meditating, isolated in the mountains. It seems that this holy man does practice some thinking. Maybe he contemplates life and even shares some common Western worries for the crucial state of humankind. He definitely looks more worn than does the Maasai woman. With all due respect, he presumably was much older than her at the moment the pictures were taken. And yet there is little resemblance with Einstein or the new Ulmer Baker when it comes to theta and delta. Here he is more in line with the Maasai woman and the herder. According to this simple analysis, Prahlad Yani is definitely no civilized person. He has the most balanced profile of them all. Does he live the best of both camps? The beta gamma that signifies the civilized world, and the theta delta from the indigenous world. Maybe we see something promising for the future of humankind here.